All right, my name is Phil Weiser, and I get to kind of provide a little context, and there's several layers of it. The first is, in this courtroom, a little over a year ago, we launched Startup Colorado, and that effort is really about supporting the entrepreneurial ecosystem in different ways. One of the ways that's really important is figuring out ways that bigger companies and smaller companies and entrepreneurs can work together. You might or might not be surprised how challenging that is. To take on that challenge, we are starting the START Network. And today's like the first real launch of the START Network, and it's to come up with ways to provide those forms of engagement. It's an area that we're going to try different things, and we'll see what works. This is an issue, big data, that affects both large and smaller companies, real opportunities. Getting larger companies to think about, hey, I could make available certain opportunities and have entrepreneurs try to help solve them is a new idea. Some companies are further along down that path than others. We as a university are a great convener to help bring those ideas to entrepreneurs, bring them to people here on the campus. And that's what we're going to be doing in different shapes or forms. If you have ideas about that, in general, here's your man, Ben Abel, who's the Executive Director of Startup Colorado. Here's your other man, Brad Bernthal, who's the head of our entrepreneurship initiative here at Silicon Flatirons in the law school. Startup Colorado has a number of core leaders who are stepping up. It doesn't take a lot to be a leader. If you want to be leading something in Startup Colorado, feel free to send me an email, say something to Brad, say something to Ben. Chris Franz is here from the Springs. Thank you, Chris. He's doing amazing leadership down there, and we're really appreciate making the trip up here. So another partner here that I want to give a shout out to is our friends in computer science. Ken Anderson, as you'll see shortly, is someone special, and he is very committed to this effort. Big data is an opportunity for really a center that would be one Silicon Flatirons can work closely with. We're very excited to support you in your efforts there. He's someone you want to follow up with in terms of those interests and engagement. We also want to note there's an undergraduate major on this campus now in computer science. That's a big deal because a lot of people come to arts and sciences thinking, I don't know what I'm going to major in. And that was me when I was in college. That's most people. Most people don't think, oh, I want to major in engineering. They think, I don't know. And so the big mass of people are the arts and sciences. Once you're there, it's actually not the easiest thing to transfer somewhere else. You can, but it's harder. Having a computer science major in arts and sciences gives our undergrads a big opportunity. Helping to get people thinking about these disciplines is something else Startup Colorado and Ken and I and others will work on. Quickly, some sponsors. We have AMG here today. Baker Hostetler, Clifton Larson Allen, Envision Consulting, Steve Halstead, Dan Caruso, who's the leader of Zayo Group, folks from Zayo, and I know Steve's here from Triworth as well. So we have a community around Startup Colorado. If people want to get interested and involved, again, Ben or myself, people to talk to. So I could say a lot about big data and why it's really a big deal, but let me just keep it short and simple. McKinsey did a report on big data about a year and a half ago, and one of the big challenges here is developing the analytics, and also on the legal side, developing responsible stewardship of data. A lot of companies are going to make big mistakes and end up in liability because they keep all the data and they allow it to be used too aggressively, and they're going to also end up getting customers upset. So being thoughtful about your data is going to be, going forward, a huge challenge for companies. Given what we have with storage today, and given what we have with people just putting more data out there, it's going to be tempting to say we're just going to keep all this data and then we'll figure out what to do with it. That's problematic on two fronts. One is you're not necessarily being responsible as a steward of the data and you're exposing yourself to risks. And number two, you may well be missing opportunities if you're just thinking mañana about what to do with your big data. So merely offering a tease is all I can do. We have a thoughtful, substantive address from a real expert here, so I'll turn it over to Ken Anderson. Ken, thank you very much. Yep.
Okay, so with that, I now officially become the one thing standing between you and lunch. So I will try to be brief here in kind of framing today's event. 1.5, I think. Okay, yeah, that's right. So welcome. Thanks so much for investing your time today to come and attend this event. One of the things we're going to try to do is make this highly interactive. So we'll have experts up on our panels offering their expertise, but we're hoping to jump back and forth between the audience and the panelists and get your questions answered. So if we're missing an issue that you think is important, please bring it up. We'll be open to interruptions and to questions from the audience. I also want to thank both Brad and Ben and Phil for their support in getting this event organized. The fact that they've been doing such great work reaching out to the entrepreneurial community and the technology community for so long has then made it just straightforward to create this event and get the word out and to get the support we need to move forward. So who am I? I'm a professor of computer science and also the associate chair for the Department of Computer Science. My background, I've done a lot of work in software engineering and web engineering. Care very deeply about software architecture. How do you design large-scale infrastructure? How do you make it reliable, available, and the like? I've been moving into the design of mobile apps as well, and in fact spearheading some efforts in the Department of Computer Science to get classes created that touch on various aspects of both the back-end infrastructure as well as this new area in mobile apps. I'm also the co-director of something here at CU called Project Epic. It looks at the area it focuses on something called crisis informatics, and basically we're looking at how people use social media during times of mass emergency to coordinate, collaborate, get information out, make offers of assistance, request for things and the like. This is a screenshot of the data we collected within 24 hours of the Japan earthquake back in April 2011. The fact that the geocoded tweets blanket Japan is interesting for a couple of reasons. One is that it represents only less than 1% of the actual data we collected on the event. So most people have geocoding turned on. But having it turned on, what was interesting there was that some of those tweets are people on the ground tweeting. Others of those are person finder tweets where people remotely are saying, I know that my relative is in this location, and they're spoofing the geotag to be able to place the tweet and say, has anyone seen my relative there and the like. So over the last 3 years, we've collected 2.5 billion tweets on many different types of events, including natural disasters, mass convergence events like the recent presidential election and the like. And so we've gained expertise in our group in collecting and processing large data sets. We're training graduate students and master's students on these techniques. We've gained insight into how to make these big data systems reliable, available, scalable, and the like. What are some useful software architectural patterns and the like. And so this got us into thinking about different ways that different subdisciplines of computer science can contribute to big data. And as I was looking around, I realized that a lot of my colleagues, even though they don't say they're working in big data, are working on techniques that are directly applicable to problems that arise in this area. And so, as I'll mention in a few moments, we're going to be trying, and as Phil indicated, we're going to be trying to create a research center here on campus around this topic, around a very large vertical slice of topics so that we can create new techniques, create new software, and from the business community standpoint, I think more importantly, train students in these areas and offer up graduate students that have, or graduates that have the right perspective, the right set of skills moving forward. So our department, just briefly, we have about 30 faculty that are tenure track and housed in computer science. As we reach out to our affiliated faculty on campus and also down at Denver Anschutz campus and the like, we have about 50 affiliated faculty, including the 30 there. Our program currently is about 340 undergraduates and 240 graduate students, and we do about $8 million in research last year with new money coming in. Our expertise on the faculty includes everything from bioinformatics and data mining to natural language processing, information retrieval. We have currently faculty that make heavy use of machine learning in their work. We're also trying to hire someone that does new research in machine learning this year. We have, and as I kind of indicated in terms of this vertical slice, we have people that are looking at the human-centered computing issues, the user interaction, data visualization issues, all the way down to people working on what's the right operating system for a machine that's running in a cluster. So we have a broad range of expertise. And also, as Phil mentioned, we're in fall 2013, we're opening up our degree programs to also include a Bachelor of Arts. And in particular, that degree is designed to enable double majors, people that have computer science, but also expertise in some other field. And so we're hoping to produce people that are savvy in bioinformatics or statistics and computer science and the like. So our synergy with Startup Colorado and Silicon Flatirons is great. Our department is increasingly focused on working with the local tech community, trying to have events, trying to get our faculty in front of people. Nicholas Carell has been leading that charge in his work on robotics. I've been trying to do that on the big data side and on the software engineering side. So we want to conduct research, produce graduates that are responsive to industry needs. We see the alliance with Startup Colorado and Silicon Flatiron is very important in that regard to take advantage of everything that they've done over the last 5 years, 10 years in establishing this community. And so some of our moves, the BA degree is one of those moves to be a little bit more responsive, produce interesting graduates. We submitted what's called an IGERT proposal to create a new PhD program on data science. That was led by some people in the electrical computer engineering department, but that would produce a PhD in data science that would span applied math, electrical engineering, and computer science, and produce graduates which have had classes as a combination of that. And then we'll talk a little bit more about the Big Data Research Center coming up. So big data, you can't take 2 steps in the tech community without tripping over this term. There's a huge amount of interest. We have here an organizer of the Big Data Meetup, Andy, is it Saylor? Andy Sawton. And he was telling me that within this last year, his meetup for that topic went from about 250 people to just under 1,000. So there's been just a huge interest in that. And of course, the big question is, what is it exactly? What does it mean when you say big data? Now, Stephen Few is out there at perceptualedge.com, and he released a paper called Big Data, Big Ruse, cautioning against the hype behind this term. You want to be very, I've heard people tell me, I go to these big data conferences, and it's a bunch of infomercials, a lot of hype, not a lot of discussion about the technology and about the pain points going on. So that's something that we're going to try to do here today, is to kind of get behind the marketing aspect of this and get down to some of the technology issues going on. But big data, it's different things to different people. So there's all aspects of this, to the data visualization and the UI for how you interact with it, to just the collection and generation of large data sets. Analytics is a huge piece of this in terms of how you pull useful information out of the data once you have it. And then for people contemplating this space, there's a huge aspect of just getting this engineered, deployed, and operated. So if you're collecting data on something that's time sensitive, like what we do with crisis informatics, your system needs to be available to leap into operation at any point and then stay up 24/7 so you don't miss any of the data that's coming across. So let's dig in. One useful kind of abstraction then for a big data system is collection, storage, and analysis. And some of these technologies and techniques are becoming commoditized through some of the frameworks that are out there, Cassandra and the like. But challenges abound because a lot of this is still a black art, or it's a black art in deciding how do we take existing techniques and combine them to be useful in this space. So collection's getting easier. Even small companies can get their hands on just tons of data. But once you've got that data, how do you store it? How do you make it scale? How do you make the storage scalable, both vertically and horizontally? How do you make the data available so that if people are trying to analyze it, it's there, ready for use? How do you support flexibility in terms of the questions you can ask of the data itself? And then, of course, in the storage space, data modeling is always non-trivial. So you might have needs now, questions now, and store the data in one format. Your needs evolve. How do you get the data in a different format to ask different questions to it? And then finally, analysis, as my grad student and my colleague Aaron Schramm says, this is the domain of wicked problems. This is where it becomes really hard to pull the information out, filter the noise, and get to truly useful stuff. And we have some panelists today who excel and specialize in that, and we hopefully get some insights from them. But this field is non-trivial because it requires expertise in very complex fields of information retrieval, machine learning, natural language processing. The research in those fields are constantly evolving. There are some techniques that are well understood and implemented, but there are others that are not yet there, and how do we manage that transition? So kind of an important thing, building off of what Stephen Fu said, is that while the term big data is new and the hype and the excitement around it is new, the underlying sub-areas are not. And so there's decades of research and expertise and the like that we can draw from machine learning, software engineering, operating systems, human-computer interaction, distributed systems, and the like, that are directly applicable, and the research in those fields, even if it's not labeled big data, can in fact actually be useful on big data-related problems. So in CU's expertise in this regard, we have quite a number of groups in most of these areas. On the software engineering, PL, and HCC side, we have these faculty. I'm not going to spend time reading the names. You could, these slides will be available later. In the analytics group, we have people from computer science, people from the electrical computer engineering department, people in applied math, and the like. We have in the operating systems and distributed systems, even robotics, we have yet another good group of faculty. And so one of the things we're going to try to do is then create a big data center that pulls these people together, have them collaborate, start to go after both federal funds, but also look for a way to interact with industry and go after sponsored research that directly address needs that are coming from that community. We're looking for more industry involvement in the computer science department, kind of in all aspects, both here with this center, but also in making people available to teach our students or to come in and do guest lectures, share data, share problems, and the like. I also intend to have more of a presence in the entrepreneurial community here. My dean has given me a teaching buyout next semester to both lead the creation of this center and also reach out and meet with people, have discussions, form alliances, and the like. So grab me for coffee and let's talk. So thank you very much. This is my contact information. Feel free to come up. I'm easily found on our website and the like. So looking forward to the conversations. And so we'll now transition into lunch, and then we'll go into our first panel. Oh, then one more thing going on. Okay. So thank you very much. Let me just put this.
My name is Brad Bernthal. I'm the director of the Entrepreneurship Initiative here at the Silicon Flatiron Center. My job here is to say a couple words about the format and purpose of today's session. We're going to get lunch and we'll reconvene for the substantive parts of the discussion. I first of all want to welcome everybody here to the law school and say I know this is a chaotic time of the year for everybody. When you walked in the door, you almost certainly could smell the desperation of finals in the air. And I know that for many of you at the year end, it's not that different in your places of business. So it's awesome of you guys to take time to be here. And I think this is going to be hopefully a worthwhile afternoon for you to spend your time this way. A couple things I want to do. First is I want to say why I think this is important. Second, pass the ball around for a few final thank yous. And then third, preview the day. Why it's important. First of all, this is cracking two very tough nuts. One of which is we've been really trying to get some useful interaction between startup community and large companies. From the startup community perspective, what I hear is it would be great to hear redirection opportunities. It would be great to hear what large companies might have cut a check for if we go in that direction. From the large company perspective, I hear it would be terrific to hear where some of the interesting research in the area is, to be able to identify what we should know is coming next, and maybe to even look at companies that we should be taking a closer look at for purchases down the road. Conceptually, that sounds great. In terms of actually finding an event to make that happen, this is really the first time we've been able to start to crack that nut. So it's a very important pilot. I've got no doubt we'll screw it up in many directions. Just let us know, and we will adjust as the START network goes forward. But I just want to emphasize that's one piece that we really haven't been able to see progress on, and this is an important event on that score. Second is, let me just underscore, we just had a computer science professor who said, "Call me, I want to get coffee." And if nothing else, I want to highlight what a breath of fresh air, not just Ken, but really where the computer science department is right now in terms of they recognize the importance of external engagement in a way that, at least my institutional memory, which goes about 8 years back here, we haven't seen anything like this. And the big vision as to where I think we're going with respect to CU is that 7-10 years down the road, we're going to make a claim that we are the public university for entrepreneurship. As much as I like our law school, that's not going to be driven solely by the law school. It's going to require us to be great across the board, great in engineering, great in computer science, great in the business school. And so I really encourage you to take Ken up on his offer and engage with CU. That's the second nut that we're starting to crack. Finally, second, a couple thank yous. This started as actually a humble event, and maybe it'll still be humble. I don't know how you'll perceive it. But George and Aaron Schramm, Aaron's going to be up a little bit later, and George's going to be on the first panel, had lunch, and we were talking about, yeah, maybe we'll do just a little small thing. And then Joe Zell, who's in the back with Growtech, had some other ideas, and it started to gain some ambition. And then we convened sort of a pilot test group over lunch at Zolo's, I guess in early part of the semester, and that helped us source the ideas. And before we knew it, we were running sort of a quasi-invitation-only mini-conference that had gone from 20 people to whatever we'll have today, 60 or 75, but far bigger than we expected. In terms of making this happen, in addition to the architects, who I would say conceptually are really Aaron, George, and Joe, if you get a chance, give Ben Abel a hug. He is a fellow here at Silicon Flatirons, has really taken the laboring oar on organization. Also, Gary Ray, who's up here to my right, and Becca Savage, who may still be outside, is going to be in, have also been key in organizing this, and they merit a thank you. Maybe we'll stop actually and give them a thank you now. It's well deserved. Finally, a couple words about where we're going. So in terms of format, we have intentionally designed this to be by geeks for geeks. And I mean that in the most flattering way, because I wish I was more geek, and hopefully I will be, but that's the way we've tried to design this. What does that mean? Well, we've intentionally excluded any hard pitches, any sales aspects. The idea is to truly dig in, and if we don't hit that, let us know, but that is the way that we've tried to architect this event. In terms of the space, this room is a gift. We're very lucky to have it. One reservation I have is, even though we were targeting about 75 people, we wanted to use this space, it's probably a little bit too big. And I'm going to ask that you not let the size of this space encumber you from being as rude and disruptive as possible with the panels. Be interactive, shout out questions. I mean, this really should be a small group engagement. We've got a hand-picked a selection of people in the room who are all experts. And so I'd encourage you to use the format in that way. In terms of another thing that we've baked into the schedule, you're going to see there's lots of breaks. Okay? So in terms of the content of the panels, that's on us who put it together. But in terms of taking advantage of the people who are in the room, meeting people during breaks, lunches, coffee breaks that we've got picked up, that's really the way that we think this is going to work, and that's on you. So I really encourage you, take advantage of the breaks, meet some folks that you haven't before, and I think that'll be a worthwhile day. In terms of the topic areas, obviously the first two, analytics and data management, are not a surprise. The third is law. And for those, how many of you think that I was the one who was behind the law piece of this? Yeah, so Steve, yeah. I was not. I said, I want this by geeks, for geeks. It was actually by popular demand when we sourced this that people said we absolutely need to have a legal panel. And so happy to include this. And I think it'll be high quality, but I just want to be clear. That was not foisted. That was in response to a pull, not a push. With respect to Silicon Flatirons, I just want to say a word about what we do. What I think we do when we're on our game is things like this. We create conditions in which innovation is likely to occur. This is one of many events that we'll do. To put it in context, we did about 48 public-facing events last year that had about 6,600 attendees come through. So in terms of being an API between the geek part of the startup community and the campus, we really feel like we're moving the meter. This fits perfectly under that umbrella. I always feel like the intended content that we have is great, but often the unintentional interactions around the structured content is just as good or sometimes better. And so again, we're really hoping that you'll take advantage of that opportunity, stay for things like the happy hour at the end of the day. So with that, I want to say that usually we kick off these events with a tradition where you meet somebody nearby that you have not. Instead of doing that in this room, we're actually going to move next door to get lunch, and we're reconvening at what time, Ben? All right, so take 15, 20 minutes, get some lunch next door. Ben will use the big voice. We'll shout you back into the room and reconvene for the substance. Look forward to speaking to you soon.